The wrestling world just witnessed something absolutely insane that nobody saw coming, and honestly it's the kind of moment that makes you remember why you fell in love with professional wrestling in the first place. Brock Lesnar has officially aligned himself with Bron Breakker, and the implications of this alliance are going to shake the foundations of everything we thought we knew about the current landscape of professional wrestling. If you're not subscribed yet, you need to hit that button right now, because we're about to break down the most shocking development of the year, and trust me, you don't want to miss a single second of what's coming next. Let me paint you the picture of exactly what went down, because this wasn't just another ordinary segment or some throwaway moment that we'll forget about next week. The arena was electric with anticipation, as fans were already buzzing about War Games 2025 and who would be stepping into that brutal double cage structure. Bron Breakker had been making his intentions crystal clear for weeks now, building his own faction and calling out anyone who dared to stand in his way. The second-generation superstar has been on an absolute tear, establishing himself as one of the most dominant forces in the company, and people were wondering who could possibly align with someone of his intensity and raw power. Then the music hit and the entire building erupted into complete chaos. Brock Lesnar made his entrance and you could feel the energy shift in an instant. This wasn't the Brock we've seen take extended breaks or show up for sporadic appearances. This was a focused, determined version of the Beast incarnate who looked like he had something to prove and a clear mission in mind. He walked down that ramp with purpose, every step deliberate and calculated as the commentary team scrambled to make sense of what was happening. Bron Breakker stood in the ring, his eyes locked on Lesnar, and for a moment the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Everyone wondered if we were about to witness a confrontation between two of the most physically intimidating performers in the business. Instead, what happened next sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling community. Lesnar climbed into the ring and extended his hand to Breakker in a show of respect and unity. The crowd went absolutely ballistic as Bron accepted the gesture, and the two powerhouses stood side by side, forming an alliance that instantly became the most dangerous partnership in professional wrestling. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone watching, because here you had a generational talent in Bron Breakker being endorsed by one of the greatest to ever do it in Brock Lesnar. This wasn't just some random pairing thrown together for shock value. This was a calculated strategic move that positions both men at the absolute top of the food chain heading into War Games. The chemistry between them was immediately apparent, and it makes perfect sense when you really think about it. Both men share that same aggressive in-your-face style that prioritizes physicality and dominance over everything else. They both come from wrestling families, with Bron being the son of Rick Steiner and the nephew of Scott Steiner, while Brock carved out his own legendary career through sheer will and unmatched athleticism. The connection runs deeper than just their in-ring similarities though, because this alliance represents a passing of the torch moment where Lesnar is essentially saying that Bron Breakker is the future and he's going to help him get there by any means necessary. Now let's talk about what this means for War Games, because the entire dynamic of that match just changed in the blink of an eye. Before this alliance was revealed, teams were scrambling trying to figure out how to counter Bron Breakker's growing influence, and now they have to contend with Brock Lesnar being thrown into the equation. The traditional War Games format already creates absolute carnage, with two rings enclosed in a steel cage and competitors entering at timed intervals until everyone is inside and the match officially begins. Add Brock Lesnar to that environment and you're looking at a potential bloodbath of epic proportions. The strategic advantage this gives Bron's team cannot be overstated. Lesnar's experience in big match situations is unparalleled, and his ability to deliver when the stakes are highest is legendary. He's competed in some of the most brutal matches in wrestling history, from Hell in a Cell to Royal Rumbles to his infamous encounters with The Undertaker and countless others. That wealth of knowledge and experience is now at Bron Breakker's disposal, and you better believe they're going to use it to their advantage. The mind games alone that they can play with their opponents leading up to War Games will be off the charts, because how do you mentally prepare to step into a cage with both Brock Lesnar and Bron Breakker? The rest of the roster has to be feeling some type of way about this development, because the balance of power just shifted dramatically. Potential opponents for War Games are probably in emergency meetings right now trying to figure out how to even the odds. Do they try to recruit their own legendary veteran to counter Lesnar's presence? Do they focus on exploiting any potential chemistry issues between Lesnar and Breakker before they can fully gel as a unit? The options are limited, and none of them look particularly promising when you're staring down the barrel of facing two of the most destructive forces in wrestling history. What makes this alliance even more intriguing is the question of leadership and hierarchy within this new faction. Bron Breakker has been positioning himself as the leader and the face of this movement, but now you have Brock Lesnar in the mix, and Lesnar has never been one to take a back seat to anyone. The dynamic between them is going to be fascinating to watch unfold, because while they clearly have mutual respect, there's always that underlying current of competition between alpha personalities. Will Lesnar truly be content playing a supporting role, or will we see him gradually assert more control over the direction of the group? These are the questions that make this storyline so compelling. The timing of this alliance is particularly significant when you consider where both men are in their respective careers. Brock Lesnar is at a point where he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He's accomplished everything there is to accomplish multiple times over, and he could easily coast on his reputation for the rest of his career. The fact that he's choosing to involve himself so heavily in building up Bron Breakker tells you that he sees something special in the younger talent. It's a vote of confidence that carries enormous weight in an industry where endorsements from legends can make or break careers. For Bron Breakker, this association with Lesnar elevates him to a completely different level in the eyes of both fans and fellow wrestlers. He's already been on an impressive trajectory showcasing his incredible athleticism and intensity week after week, but sometimes that final push to superstardom requires that special something extra. Having Brock Lesnar stand beside you and essentially say this as the guy sends a message to everyone that Bron Breakker isn't just another promising talent. He's the real deal, and he's got the backing of one of the most feared competitors in wrestling history. The build-up to War Games is going to be absolutely insane now that this alliance is official. Every week leading up to the event will be must-watch television because you never know when Lesnar and Breakker are going to strike or who their next target will be. The beauty of this pairing is that they can dominate through pure physical force, or they can show a more cerebral side by outsmarting their opponents. The versatility that combination brings to their team makes them incredibly dangerous and unpredictable. Let's also consider the possible opponents who might step up to challenge this newly formed alliance. You need teams that can match their intensity and physicality, which immediately narrows down the field of potential challengers. The logical choices would be established main event level talent who aren't intimidated by big names and have the credentials to make this feel like a legitimate war. The matches leading up to War Games are going to be crucial in establishing who has the guts to stand across the ring from Lesnar and Breakker. The in-ring chemistry between Brock and Bron is going to be something special to witness because their styles complement each other perfectly. Lesnar's suplex-heavy offense and raw power combined with Breakker's explosive speed and agility creates a nightmare scenario for anyone unfortunate enough to face them. Imagine the double-team maneuvers they can execute with their combined strength and athleticism. The visual alone of these two powerhouses working in tandem to dismantle opponents is going to create some unforgettable moments. Another fascinating aspect of this alliance is how it affects the rest of the locker room's perception of both men. Younger talent looking to make a name for themselves might see this as the ultimate challenge and an opportunity to prove they belong at the top level by taking down this seemingly unstoppable duo. Veterans might view it as a threat to their positions and feel compelled to form their own alliances to counter this new power structure. The ripple effects of this partnership are going to be felt throughout the entire roster for months to come. The promos and segments featuring Lesnar and Breakker together are going to be appointment television because both men have such strong presence and charisma in their own unique ways. Lesnar's intensity and economical way of speaking paired with Breakker's youthful aggression and hunger creates an interesting contrast that should make for compelling viewing. When these two cut promos together calling out their opponents and laying out their intentions, it's going to have serious weight behind it. War Games itself is going to be an absolute spectacle now that we know Brock Lesnar is involved. The match structure already lends itself to chaos and brutality, but adding someone with Lesnar's track record of violence takes it to another dimension entirely. Think about the possibilities of what could happen inside those two rings surrounded by steel. The suplexes through tables, the bodies being thrown into the cage walls, the sheer destruction that Lesnar and Breakker can inflict working together is going to be off the charts. The psychological warfare leading up to the match is going to be just as important as the physical preparation. Knowing that you have to step into that cage with Brock Lesnar and Bron Breakker has to be mentally exhausting for their opponents. Every time they close their eyes, they're probably visualizing all the different ways this could go horribly wrong for them. That mental edge is huge in a match like War Games, where confidence and mental toughness can be the difference between victory and defeat. This alliance also opens up so many interesting storyline possibilities beyond just War Games. What happens after the event? Do Lesnar and Breakker continue working together and dominate the entire division? Do tensions eventually arise between them, leading to an inevitable clash? Does this faction grow with additional members joining their cause? The creative potential here is enormous, and it's exciting to think about all the different directions this could go. The fan reaction to this alliance has been overwhelmingly positive because people recognize that this is exactly the kind of bold storytelling that professional wrestling needs. It's unexpected, it makes sense from a character standpoint, and it immediately raises the stakes for everything moving forward. Social media exploded when this went down, with fans sharing their reactions and speculating about what comes next. That organic buzz and genuine excitement from the audience is what makes moments like this so special. If you've made it this far, you already know this is going to be one of the most important storylines of the year, and you can't afford to miss a single moment of what happens next. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you never miss an update on Brock Lesnar and Bron Breakker's journey to War Games and beyond, because things are about to get extremely interesting and you're going to want to be here for every second of it.